The first card you have for your past is the Three of Cups. So yeah, this card's obviously about, it can be partying, having fun, all of that kind of thing. Celebration, can be abundance. Yeah, I'm seeing playing around in this card. And yeah, that sounds fun, playing around. But what I'm seeing is someone wasn't taking things very seriously. And this is a love situation I'm seeing. So I am seeing that you were definitely interested in someone. You might have been in the early stages of dating, or you might have just started to see them, or you might have been getting to know them before you were deciding whether you were kind of going to date them or something like that. But it was something early. And I think you were standing back and kind of watching what they were doing, kind of surveying the situation before you were ready to jump in, and that was very wise of you. So yeah, I think you saw them as having potential up to a point, but you're being very, very careful. Again, I'm seeing, you just didn't, excuse that noise, you didn't want to get in too far over your head. You were kind of protecting yourself, you were protecting your heart. And obviously these three women are drinking, they're partying, they're dancing around. And yeah, this can be symbolic of, kind of reminding yourself not to get too carried away in your emotions. So what it's saying actually literally is, don't place your cup or your emotions over your mind or your head. Now that could be about, don't let yourself get drunk and get carried away and do silly things and start talking to lampposts and telling the man on the corner you love him and all of these kind of things. It can also just be about, don't fall into love too quickly. Don't put your heart or your emotions over your head. Don't get so carried away in love that you don't actually know the person first. So, and I think, that's what you're doing. You're very careful to do that. Now, sometimes this card can be about third parties. I'm not seeing that. I'm just seeing someone who actually they liked playing around. They liked kind of playing around. They're kind of flirty. They had a lot of, people on their phone, and they were kind of flirting with them, and they were kind of, they'd go out and they'd put their arms around people, and they'd kind of be, and that kind of thing you didn't like very much, I must say. If you were looking for someone a bit more, well, you were looking for someone stable and serious, and I think you just surveyed the situation and you just thought to yourself, no, they're not like that. They're not like that. This probably isn't the person for me. That's what I'm seeing. The next card you have for your past is the Seven of Swords, yes. So yeah, I think you knew pretty much quite early on that this is what they were going to be like. They weren't going to be very serious, because you have amazing instincts when it comes to love. Your radar's extremely sharp, and again, I don't think you're angry, or I don't think you're upset with this person in the Three of Cups, because you weren't seriously involved in them. That's what I'm seeing. It was very early days, I keep on seeing that. But you could sense that this is what this person was like quite early on. And it was really good, because that saved you from getting too far involved with them before you found out. So, I think you've been cheated on before, actually. And this could be why, you had such sharp instincts, and you still do. And the down part of that is you used to be a lot more open than you are now, but someone took that openness away from you. So you still have some openness. You're still open, but you don't have that kind of wide-eyed, innocent kind of openness, if that makes sense. And yeah, it's sad in a way, but it's good in a way, because then you were left with these sharp instincts, which have really served you well, as we can see here. So it was a good thing, actually. Not that you were hurt. I don't want to see anyone hurt, but yeah, you learned a lot from it, and I think you grew from that. The last card you have for your past is the Nine of Pentacles. I love this card, beautiful. Yeah, I'm seeing a few things in this card. I'm seeing that, you're very, very independent. And, it's not that you want to be alone. You don't want to be alone forever and ever, but you'd rather be alone. You'd rather be by yourself than go through any of these cheating or any of these kind of things that I was seeing in the Seven of Swords. Of course, you don't want to go through that again. So you'd rather be very cautious, super cautious, than kind of be open to anyone and get your heart broken again. That's what I'm seeing. And yeah, you had a barrier up. You had a barrier up around you, but I don't think there was any problem with this. I think it was a healthy barrier. You weren't isolating yourself or anything like that. You weren't overly scared of people or anything like that. You were just being cautious, which was a good thing, I think, for you. And it worked well for you in this Three of Cups. I was seeing that. So I'm also seeing something that you've been working on for a long, long time. And I think at this time it was starting to do well for you. It was like it was starting to turn a corner for you, turning a corner upwards, if that makes sense. So yeah, you were starting to see some results from your hard work. And this might be a business, because I'm seeing this expanding. Yeah, if this keeps on expanding, if this keeps on going in the right direction, growing and doing really well for you, I'm actually seeing that it might grow so much that you're going to have assistance. You might have to employ someone. I'm looking at this falcon in this card that this woman's holding, and falcons, they go out to hunt. They're sent out by their owners. In these days, that's what happened. They were sent out by their owners. They'd go and hunt and then bring that hunt back. And if they're not working for a person, obviously they're doing this for themselves. They go out and work for their food. So that's what I'm seeing. You might be employing people in the future. And, if you're already employing people, you might be employing more people, a lot more people. You're going to really be expanding a lot, because there's so much abundance in this card, and there's so much growth in this card too. Slow growth, but growth. I mean, there's a snail in the bottom left-hand corner. So it's saying slow growth, but it's definite growth. There are vine leaves, there's grapes, there's trees, there's plants, everything all over this. So beautiful growth. And that's what I'm seeing. If you do have a business or something like that you're pursuing, it's going to be expanding. So the first card you have for your present is the Queen of Cups. Yeah. She's looking into her cup. She looks a bit sad. She's kind of lost in her emotions. So I am seeing a bit of sadness in this, actually. I'm seeing that, you haven't just had one person cheat on you. You've had several people really hurt you. Now, I don't know if all of these people have cheated on you, but they have hurt you in some way. You've had a lot of problems, especially in love in the past, and you have been hurt quite a lot. And I think, these different situations have molded you very, very slowly over time. Little by little, they've molded you. Because I'm looking at these pebbles around this beautiful queen's feet. They're very smooth, they're tiny, and over time, by the water, parts of them have been eroded away and smoothed out by this water, by this emotion. Water represents emotion. So they've been smoothed down over time. And this is what's happened to you. You've changed a lot after everything that happened to you in the past, and you went through all of these emotions that you went through, but you're still you at your core. You're still there. The true you is there. And, pebbles become smooth, they lose their edges, but they never disappear. They're always there. And that's you. They're smaller, but they're strong, and you're still strong. That's what I'm seeing. And yeah, the good thing is that these experiences have made you wiser. They certainly have made you a lot wiser. I've seen that in the Seven of Swords. But you haven't become hardened. You haven't become all bitter and horrible. You're soft. You have soft edges like these pebbles. You're smooth. So, I think when you find the right person eventually, and you're very discerning as well, so you will find the right person, not just any person that's going to be the right person. You're going to be open for the right person at the right time. Now, you're going to be, obviously, that's how you are in the Three of Cups. You're going to be very careful, very discerning. You have very healthy barriers around you. But when you do find the right person, you're going to be able to open up to them. You're going to be able to give your all to them. That's what I'm seeing. So, you have changed a lot, but it is good. It is very good. The next card you have for your present is the Seven of Cups. So you have more cups. Yeah, this is an emotional reading. There are a lot of cups in this reading. I'm seeing this could be some kind of a message to you. It might be even a warning to you, not a terrible warning, but some kind of thing to kind of make you think about. Yeah, this card can be about fantasy sometimes, up in the clouds, fantasizing about all sorts of things. There's a beautiful woman here, there's money, there's jewels, there's all sorts of crazy stuff in these cups. So it's kind of not real. I mean, nobody's going to have cups in front of them up in the clouds with a woman's face in one and a snake in another one and all these things. So this guy is obviously either dreaming, or he's in a fantasy world, or he's imagining things, or that kind of thing. So this is about fantasy. And you are discerning. This is what I'm seeing. You're discerning when it comes to love, and that's definitely a good thing. I'm seeing that. It's definitely very good. It's been good for you. But try not to hold on to some kind of an ideal person in your mind, of one kind of perfect type of person, if that's what you're doing. I'm not saying don't have ideals, don't have standards. Of course, it's important to have ideals and standards. Very, extremely important. But try not to be so kind of idealistic that you look past people, or you kind of discount people that might be fine. I'm not saying that you are doing this, but some people even have like a checklist of what they want in a person, a potential partner, and that's fine. But being completely inflexible and kind of uncompromising can make people kind of miss out on a lot of really great opportunities and people that are right in front of them that might be fantastic for them. So just be aware that when the right person does come along for you, they might not be your type at all. They might be completely different. And this is just something that you need to keep in mind. And I'm thinking about that because this has happened to me before. I've had a certain type of person I had in my mind. I want them to be, open to this and have this kind of set of ideals that I have, and I want them to be, going along the same kind of path, or at least not to be kind of completely opposite to what I'm doing. And they need to obviously be open to things like tarot and all that kind of thing. They can't be so kind of conservative that they can't stand anything like that. I mean, obviously that will never work. But, I've fallen for people who've been completely different to me, completely different. Someone who I never ever would have thought of in a million years has come to me. I've just clicked with them. I just looked into their eyes and they smiled and they spoke to me, and I just completely fell on my face for this person. So, I mean, it can happen. It can really, really happen. So while I'm not saying, don't have any ideals, don't have any standards, of course not. It's important to have those things, of course. But also keep your mind open. Keep your mind open. Keep your mind open, because there might be someone right next to you that you're not noticing. There might be someone who works with you. There might be someone who you see every day that might be perfect for you. So just keep that in mind. The last card you have for your present is the Knight of Cups. So, yeah, I'm seeing some caution in this card as well. I'm sorry to caution you all the time, but I'm seeing that as well. And I'm seeing some caution around this business thing, or this thing that you're working on in the Nine of Pentacles. If it is a business, or it might be a budding business, something you're just starting, or it might be something like that. So there might be someone coming in to offer you some kind of advice around this business. Not only advice, but they might be offering you some kind of help, or some kind of something like that. They might be trying to come in as a consultant, might be that. just be careful, because this card can be about fantasy sometimes, dreams that have no kind of basis in reality. And especially when this is next to the Seven of Cups, the two of those together definitely mean that, if they're together. So I'm just seeing that. I'm just seeing someone who might come in and try and offer you something, and they have a lot of great big plans, they have a lot of great big ideas, but they might not have they might not have their feet on the ground, let's just say. If you're going to listen to this person, at least keep your feet on the ground. Don't, commit to anything until you've asked them a lot of questions and you've researched all about what they're about and what they do. Google them, Google their business or whatever it is. Just to have a look about and see what's around with this. Because I'm actually seeing someone who likes to talk a lot, and maybe they even brag a lot. But they actually don't have that much backing this up at all. So just be careful. That's what I'm seeing. So the first card you have for your future is the Nine of Cups. So yes, here he is. Look at him. Here's this person. So again, this person might be telling you that they have a lot of knowledge, or they have a lot of expertise about something. They're the biggest, they're the best, they know everything, and they might be beautifully dressed like this beautiful knight in the Knight of Cups. And I'm actually, they might be well fed like the man in this card. I'm actually seeing someone who might be, name dropping even. They might be saying, oh, I met this person, this celebrity, or this influential person, or I know the professor of something or other at this university and they know everything. And I know this amazing actress and she says that, it might be all of that kind of thing. Just be careful. Keep your feet on the ground. Again, you've worked really hard to get to where you have already, and you also have a good reputation. You have a good reputation. So be very careful of who you want to associate with. If you're associating yourself with someone who brags and doesn't really tell the truth, or maybe they're telling the truth, but they looked at a celebrity across a room one day. Maybe they had dinner in the same restaurant and they were in the corner and the other person was in the other corner, and they might be saying, oh, I've met so and so. It might be like that. So they might be kind of embellishing the truth or making up things, and you don't want to associate yourself, especially in your business, with someone like that, because their reputation will become your reputation. So be very, 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 very careful. And I don't want to scare you, but really, you're good at applying barriers when it comes to your love life. Do the same when it comes to your business. Protect yourself. Put up a barrier in business. That's what I'm seeing. The next card you have for your future is the Eight of Pentacles. So yes, working hard. You've worked so hard to get to where you are. And I'm also seeing in this card that you might have to do some studying or something like that. You might have to do some kind of formal study to pursue something, or to get some kind of qualification, or to do something around this. I'm seeing that, you might have actually had this in mind. You might have been thinking of the kind of studying you'd like to do. Definitely, I think this card's telling you that definitely hard work, study, all of that kind of thing are a better road to take than someone who's all talk and no action, or doesn't really isn't really that honest, really, obviously. So the right way to go is hard work, and that sounds very boring, but you've already done that. You've gotten where you are today by that hard work. That's how you're going to get further. Hard work, study, all of that kind of thing. Yes, I know that sounds boring, but it is. It's all about hard work. That's what I'm seeing in this card. So the last card you have for your future is the Five of Pentacles. Yes, this is a very sad card. But I do think it's not so sad. It's not so tragic. This is something just to remind you as well again. I'm seeing that, If you do want to do this extra study that I've seen in the Eight of Pentacles that you probably do have to do, or you're thinking about doing, I think, the cost of this study, because it can be quite expensive, I know that, the cost of this study, or whatever this learning is, or whatever it is, it might start to kind of put you off this when you start to think about, oh, it's going to cost that much, and then it's going to take my time away from me, and I could be earning in that time, and I'm going to be so busy, I'm going to be up at night studying, and I might have to go into debt, and I'm really afraid, and all of this kind of thing, and I don't want to do that, and I don't want to spend every cent of my savings, and then I'm really worried, and there might be a lot of other hidden costs, and I might have to travel. You might be worrying about all of that kind of thing when you think about this studying. Now, yeah, it probably is going to make you feel a bit stressed. It's going to make you feel even a bit overwhelmed. But what I'm seeing in this card is what one person thinks is impossible, another person finds out how they can make that thing possible. Why am I seeing that in this card? It looks like despairing and terrible and sadness. I'll just move it up so you can see. Because I can see that the woman in this card is looking down on the ground, but the young man or this boy or whoever's in the front, who's shorter and he's on crutches, he's looking up to the stained glass window. He's looking toward these beautiful coins. He can see that there is a possibility of getting himself out of the situation that he's in. And he's doing that by looking upwards. And this is a church, so he's looking up, thinking about his spirituality, and he's thinking about, how am I going to do this? And this is what I'm seeing in this card, is that if you look up and you think about, how am I going to manifest what I want? How am I going to do that? Am I going to do that by looking down on the ground and saying, I'll never do this, I'll never do that, I can't do that, I'm so cold and it's snowing and the ground's dirty and there's a piece of rubbish and negative. No, you do it by looking up toward the light, looking up. So that's what this person's doing here. He's looking up. And so he can see possibilities. So there's always a way. There are scholarships, there are programs, there are people who can help you with this studying. So if this resonates, at least start researching different possibilities. You won't see any possibilities if you're looking down at the ground like this poor woman. You're only going to see them if you look upwards and you look to what's up there. There might be people who can help you. You might not have to take out a loan. It might be, you might get a scholarship. You might, a million different things. There might be things you'd never thought of in your life, but you'll never know that those possibilities are there if you don't go and research and look into things. Now, I'm seeing study in this. It might apply to something else that you want to manifest. So if that's the case, see that as well. Anything you want to manifest, it starts by being positive, and it starts by opening your mind. That's what I'm seeing there.